NASA solar conjunction taking place now, 2019. What is conjunction and why is NASA worried about this? This is a type of a planetary alignment, so we could be having, most probably, earthquake jolts from this. Sebastian Ketley of Express UK. NASA announced its readiness for this year's solar conjunction of Earth, Mars, and the Sun. But what is solar conjunction and how will it have an impact on NASA? First of all, this happens from what they say every 2 years. It's a type of a planetary alignment. Conjunction is when the Sun is between the Earth and Mars, and opposition is when the Earth is between the Sun and Mars. So this solar conjunction is one of the two celestial alignments that involves the opposition of two planets and the Sun. The first is celestial opposition, occurring when the Earth is directly in between the Sun and planet like Mars or Jupiter. And during conjunction, the opposite is true. The Earth aligns with another planet with the Sun in between in the center of the line. As a result of conjunction with Mars, the red planet disappears from our skies and hides behind the Sun, and this takes the period of about 2 weeks. And they're like dancers on either side of a huge bonfire. This is what NASA said. The two planets are briefly visible to each other. This year's solar conjunction started this past weekend, August 24th to August 25th. And according to astronomer Deborah Bird of EarthSky, the exact moment of direct conjunction will take place Monday, September 2nd. The astronomer said you can't expect to see Mars again until October, that is late October, may feature the first decent glance of Mars in the world east before sunrise. Around October 26th, the red planet will hang briefly low on the horizon just below the star Regulus. Now, how will solar conjunction have an impact on NASA's missions? Well, when the red planet, Mars that is directly obscured by the Sun, the communication sending back and forth from Mars to Earth becomes an issue. It's a problem, and it affects the fleet of robotic explorers that are already on Mars, space probes, rovers that are currently exploring the surface of Mars for NASA, as well as for the European Space Agency, ESA. Over the past 20 years, NASA maintained continuous presence on Mars, and in 2020 wants to launch a new rover to Mars. NASA said every day for over 2 decades, the US has had a presence on Mars using spacecraft to understand this extreme world and its potential as a past or present habitat for life. The future, I would say, future for life because of human colonies, human missions that want to be placed there. Now, during that time, they said, all spacecraft have become virtually incommunicado for about 2 weeks every 2 years, and the reason is this solar conjunction. That is the Sun being in between Earth and Mars. Mission controllers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Pasadena, California, are very well prepared for this conjunction. They knew it would come, and they've prepared their computer systems, their communications, their messages, their probes, their rovers on Earth and on Mars. During this 2-week period, NASA will not attempt to communicate with its rovers in order to prevent any data loss. Instead, NASA plans ahead, and it will beam to its robots 2 weeks' worth of instructions. And because of this, NASA said many mission controllers will use the opportunity to go and take a well-deserved vacation while there is this downtime. And NASA said it's impossible to predict what information might be lost because of interference from charged particles from the Sun, and that lost information could potentially put the spacecraft in danger. Instead, they said, prior to the solar conjunction, engineers send 2 weeks' worth of instructions and then they wait. And while that may seem risky, the automatic pilot does its job. It knows what to do. Engineers have become skilled at letting spacecraft be on their own. It's like parents, they say, who raise youngsters to be responsible and let them go on a short vacation with their friends. They've done all they can do to ensure the voyagers will be healthy and safe. And after those 2 weeks, of course, they resume proper communications. Now that's as far as the NASA communications with Mars goes. What about what happens to our planet when you have this type of a planetary alignment? Well, I found this very nice PDF. I'll leave a link below for you for this by Brian J. Having to do with Planetary Aspects and Terrestrial Earthquakes by Brian T. Johnson. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. It's like, I don't know how many pages it is. It's a whole study. I'll just go into the basic takeaway. Because they say astrologers since ancient times have been asserting that planets do influence earthquakes, and they weren't to prove it. So, they said, first they obtained the data for the most significant earthquakes recently of 1998 as published by U.S. Geological Survey. This set was comprised of 84 events, 84 earthquakes. The astrological program Solar Fire was used to calculate the positions of the planets and their apparent positions in the sky, the exact moment and position on the Earth to the nearest arc minute of longitude and latitude, and to the nearest second in time of the quakes. You know, those 3D things that we see. For example, Dutch Sense and Terrell Blackstar use them. Okay, so something like that. Next was calculated the exact geocentric positions of the planets at the moment of each quake were calculated. From these times and dates, there was generated a control group of charts that were made by using a random number generator to determine the dates for an equal number of random sky charts for 1998. This generated a database of planetary positions and relationships that would give a very similar configuration of planetary positions as the earthquake data, but would be sufficiently different enough from earthquakes to provide times to provide the completely dissimilar set of planetary configurations. Anyway, what I want to say is this. The initial results from the earthquake and random databases using the angles of 60, 120, 180, and 0 degrees, the sextile, trian, opposition, and conjunction aspects. Okay, we're talking about, for example, conjunction and opposition is what we talked about here. So it's like you have a clock and you have 15 minutes, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and on the hour, right? So, the opposition conjunction aspect showed that more aspects were present during the moments that earthquakes occurred than during the random periods. The difference between the two sets of data was not large, but it indicated that the initial presumptions regarding the observations that more aspects were occurring during earthquakes than at other times was supported. There were 781 aspects for the random group of 800 for the earthquake group. So that's like over 90%. That's 20 from 80 would be 10%, 20 is a quarter. It's like 96%. 96% of the quakes took place during planetary alignment, opposition, conjunction, and 90-degree positions. So we would expect, because of this planetary alignment, this conjunction, an electromagnetic gravitational jolt. Okay, so in this 2-week period, we would expect a gravitational jolt, or just after. It may take some weeks to push into the Earth. Then they said the second set, utilizing the same aspect criteria, was generated from the heliocenter positions of the planets for both random times and the times that earthquakes occurred showing very similar results with 539 aspects occurring during the times that earthquakes occurred and 511 aspects for the random group. This was a slightly greater correlation than for the geocentric group, and again supported the theory that more aspects were in force during times of aspects than during random times. We're talking aspects, they mean planetary alignment, opposition, conjunction, and 90 and 30 degree angles. Okay? So this is, I'm not making this up from my mind. It's not my fantasy. I will leave a link below for you, and you can see the whole study there. They have all these numbers and charts and everything that you can go into if you want to, if you're into that. I'm sure there are a lot of people that love geology, live and breathe for it, or astronomy, astrogeology, or whatever you call it. So we know that the moon has effects and gives not only the water tides, the water levels. We have every day we have tides changing, right? Especially if you're in the southern and northern hemispheres, less if you're near the equator. But also the moon has an effect on the tectonic plates. They call it earth tides. Earth tides, water tides, but also earth tides. It's not only on the water that the moon has gravitational influence, it's also on the tectonic plates. And especially with the planetary alignments that we see here, like 95% of the earthquakes that we have, and I think I saw, my eye caught another one. Let me go back and read the other one. I think it was like over, astronomical alignments as the cause of magnitude 6+ seismicity. Strong earthquakes during long alignments and the absence of the pattern outside alignments. Okay, so you have strong earthquakes. Magnitude 6+. 6, 6.2, 6.5, 7, who knows? Okay, over 6 is what you get when you have planetary alignments. And I'll leave that for you as well. Planets align and they trigger major quakes. And this happens during the opposition, when the Earth is in between the Sun and another planet, and also when it's in conjunction, as we have now, when the Sun is between the Earth and another planet. So we have to be ready, be alert, because this is going to happen. Very, very probable. Very probable, meaning 95% and above. I'll leave links below for you for this. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.